what is the real science, if there is any hard science, behind the issue with elevated LDL cholesterol?
Right. Well, there is no science behind that whatsoever. What is being offered to us is a cause and effect claim. We are being told that elevated cholesterol is the cause of heart disease. There is no evidence to support that claim of any kind, because the evidence required to support such a claim is experimental. Good luck getting that past an ethics committee. We'd like to do an experiment on some human beings over 3 or 4 decades where we need to lock them all in labs entirely for that time and control every aspect of their lives except for their exposure to cholesterol, and then see what happens to those people. You're not going to get that past an ethics committee, so that work will never be done as long as reasonable society holds, basically. So what we have to go with is associative or prospective studies, which purely look at the association between this and that. And that's all they do. They have no other powers. They're not magical things. A lot of people look at these things and go, oh, that looks statistically complex. It's above me. I don't understand it. Ergo, it's good science and we should all kowtow to it. All hail the regression sum is what we should say. Unfortunately, 1 or 2 of us do understand them and are able to look at them and go, hang on a minute here. Just hang on 1 second. What they are doing, those people that do those kind of studies, is they are taking an outcome, a hard outcome. Does someone get diagnosed with heart disease of a stipulated kind in a given period of follow-up where I keep tabs on that person and I get in touch with them periodically and say, so have you got heart disease yet? So have you got heart disease yet? So have you got heart disease yet? No, still? Okay, and I follow you for X amount of time. And then at the end of it, I take the incidence of those who have been diagnosed with heart disease, and I look at various factors in their life. How tall are they? How old were they when we started following them? What gender were they? What was their socioeconomic status? What was their educational level? All sorts of things, including what was their blood cholesterol level. Is one of those things that they check, and they go, oh, look, there's an association between elevated LDL, so-called cholesterol, which doesn't even exist, by the way. That's probably for another day. LDL cholesterol, they say. No, it's LDL. Okay. And they're saying that its elevation causes heart disease because it's associated in some way through some regression sum with whatever predictive power it's got. Not very good, by the way. At best, it's pretty weak, but that's also for another day. Here's the thing. The first thing you learn in the first morning of your first undergraduate degree, probably within the first 30 minutes of somebody talking to the class, is you should never make the mistake of ascribing causality to an associative relationship. Example, if I surveyed everybody in the beachfront area of any popular beachside resort you like anywhere around the world, and I find out how many of those people experienced sunburn that day, and I have a look also at how many of those people bought ice cream, and I look at the data set across a 12-month period, what I am going to find is a strong positive linear relationship between the sale of ice cream and the incidence of sunburn. Ergo, as a responsible member of the local government there, I am now going to deal with this scourge of sunburn by outlawing absolutely the sale of ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely. That is how it works.
It's no better than that in terms of the science associating LDL or any other lipoprotein or any fraction of the lipoproteins as causal agents in the disease process. Blaming cholesterol for heart disease is akin to turning on the television, seeing footage of a major forest fire and swearing at those bloody firemen who are always there. They're the guys that are the problem here. Every time I see footage of a forest fire, there are fire crews. They must be the cause of it.
Yeah.
We should lock them up.
So, and part of that is because and I know in the general population, no one understands the actual cause of actual arterial disease, right? The actual cause. So,
well,
what
there are some pretty good theories.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, one of the primary causes inflammation,
Yep.
chronically high levels of glucose in the blood,
Yep.
all of those types of things.
Yes.
And as a result of that, that is where cholesterol actually becomes a part of the picture, but not because it caused anything.
Correct.
It was already, the damage was done prior to cholesterol showing up.
Correct. Yes. The cholesterol is there to play its well-defined role in healing, actually. See, the thing about what they're calling LDL cholesterol, it's not cholesterol, it's a carrier for cholesterol. It's a lipoprotein. It's like a package that you will wrap up cholesterol and other lipids, actually, and they're spherical things of various sizes and densities with different proteins associated with them, etc. And what we're being told is that because certain proteins associate with the disease process in terms of their prevalence, that they are therefore the cause of the disease, without ever considering for a second that actually in any reasonable thought process, you would also consider the possibility that causality was 180 degrees out of phase with that, and that actually the cholesterol was there because of the damage that had already been done.
Right.
That doesn't sell drugs. No,
well, you're right about that.
So that argument doesn't hold much sway because it doesn't sell drugs. So let's quickly shut that argument down and call anyone that makes that argument a cholesterol denier, as if people like me are sitting here saying cholesterol doesn't exist. It does. You can't live without it.
Right.
If anything, it's the other side that are cholesterol deniers, because they're the ones that deny its multitude of vital purposes in the human body.
I actually, I just recently got blood work back then, last Friday. The reference range for LDL cholesterol started at 0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that cannot possibly be good. Well, that you would literally want 0.
Well, show me someone who has that.
Well, yeah, no one alive.
I'll show you someone who's probably dead and probably has been for a while.
I thought I heard you, though, in an interview talk about the actual, if you look at just biologically, the potential length of life for humans, which was substantially longer than what we would normally think of as, Joe died at 82. He had a good life.
Yeah.
Is that, do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, what it seems like is that when you talk to scientists in the comparative anatomy field, when you talk to geneticists, when you talk to people who understand these processes across multiple species, and you say to them, look, if you take a human being, take away modern lifestyles, take away the things that we're doing to ourselves that are shortening our lifespans because of our unnatural behaviors, etc., whatever else. If we just got out of our own stupid way, just based on the genes we've got, the bodies we've got, all of that stuff, how long would you expect a human being to live, all things being equal? And they'll give you a number somewhere between 120 and 150.
Yeah.
As a relatively middle of the range sort of lifespan expectable, which would mean that there would be people that would live significantly more than 150, and some people who obviously still wouldn't live that long.
And it just seems like we have just bought as a society that, we talk about the average lifespan being 74, and we think that if you hit 74, then you've made it, right? which
Yeah.
seems like we've just sold out, or not sold out, but sold short.
Yeah.
So much expectation of the future, or the thought that you're decrepit at 60 years old.
Yeah.
And that's, the end of the road for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those self-serving illogical fallacies where a thing is normal, ergo we expect that thing to be that way, ergo we behave in such a way as to bring that into being.
Yeah. A
Now,
self-fulfilling
sure,
prophecy.
you can expect to live about 80 years if you live a standard Western lifestyle in a so-called developed, so-called, Western nation.
Right.
But
That's
that's
about
not,
what you're going to get.
exactly, but that's not because your biological imprinting, your biological programming says you should die at about 80, 85, something like that. That your genes are telling you you've got 120 to 150 years on average.
Right.
Something's going badly wrong.
And if you're just eating the standard American diet, the last 20 of your years are going to be crap anyway, right? Because you're going to need a walker, have something cut off, be on endless amounts of medication, because so not only are you not making it much past 80 or 85, the last handful of years you're having aren't really hitting on a whole lot anyway.
Exactly, yes. There's life and then there's living, isn't there?
Oh, that's exactly right. I had a piece of cheesecake on Father's Day. I felt off for 2 days afterwards, but it was one of those things, and that's what I say. I mean, I'm pretty strict on what I do, but the purpose of living is to actually live, right? So, that's we all make those choices sometimes.